Hello, friends. Welcome inside, at least for me, Ben Garrett, the Riverland Roofing Studios, New Albany branch. This is Talk of Champions. He's Brad Logan, at Brad Logan, COTE.
You got it. It only took 6 months?
Or like 6 years. How long have we known each other now? I mean, this is pathetic. But yes, at Brad Logan, COTE on Twitter. I'm at Spirit Ben. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the Ole Miss Spirit, OleMissSpirit.com, and affiliate on 3. If you sign up today, new members can get in for $1. $1, just $1. All you got to do is sign up at the Ole Miss Spirit, OleMissSpirit.com, affiliate on 3. That's that QR code I just switched right there. We've been raising money from the Albany High School's musical theater department. But if you want to, and you haven't already, the Ole Miss Spirit, OleMissSpirit.com, affiliate on 3. Join us today. We'd love to have you. Stephen A. Smith's coming to Oxford, Mississippi today, supposedly. Ole Miss basketball. 8th straight loss. Trey Fryfogle, former Ole Miss wide receivers, coming on here shortly. A lot going on a typically slow, I would guess you could say, February 19th-ish. How you doing, Brad?
Man, I'm doing well, and I want to start I really want to start with Ole Miss men's basketball. And you and I talked about this, and I agree with what Chuck posted on the Ole Miss Spirit, OleMissSpirit.com, an affiliate of On 3. You can join there today. And and I agreed with him. He said they're executing. They're playing with a lot of passion. I thought last night for 36 minutes, they played the best basketball they played all year. I was very, very impressed.
It's a low bar.
I was very impressed with the team last night on the road. I mean, A&M, let's be honest, they're not very good, but I love the way they were playing. They were playing as a team. And here's what they were doing more than anything. They were playing with a lot of effort. And I like to see that. And then the final 3 minutes happened. Ole Miss was up 6, and they didn't score the final 3 minutes, I think, in 38 seconds.
I mean, come on, dude.
It was one of those things to where it's just the way they kind of sputtered there at the end was, you hate to say indicative, but kind of been indicative of the season. I want to run through the SEC standings real quick while we're looking at it. The SEC tournament, if it were to be played today, Ole Miss would play on Wednesday.
Shocker.
They are next to last with a 3-10 conference record. They are ahead of LSU at 2-11, who they play, I think, on Saturday. Or is that South Carolina on Saturday? Well, South Carolina is dead last at 2-11. LSU is 2-11, and Ole Miss is 3-10. They're tied with Oklahoma at 3-10. Oddly enough, Oklahoma is one of Ole Miss's 3 wins was at. I'm all confused. Oklahoma beat Ole Miss. That was one of Oklahoma's wins. I'm sorry. And then Auburn, which last night lost on the road to Mississippi State. Auburn, and I know this is not an Auburn podcast, but I'd love to get your thoughts briefly, very briefly, on Stephen Pearl. They're 5-8 in the conference.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're tied with Mississippi State, who's won 2 in a row. Mississippi State's now 5-8. And then everybody else is in between 9 and 6 wins. And then Florida is 11-2 after Arkansas fell to Alabama in double OT last night. They're 9-4. So SEC is kind of wide open. And everybody in the chat's talking about the debate. And we're getting to the debate, I promise.
Once you get mean, Brad. Once you get mean, brother.
Just not in my DNA. And I love Jake Crane like a brother. We started in the business kind of online and stuff together 10 years ago, and he started with literally with an iPhone and a computer and a microphone. That's what he started. So now I go way back, and he asked me to do it. And I thought, okay, and then here we are. But yeah, the SEC basketball starting on Wednesday, and Chris Beard, they didn't quit. Ben, I know that doesn't mean anything to anybody else, but my goodness, they didn't quit. They just kind of fell apart at the end, which has kind of been the song of the season.
I wrote a story for the Ole Miss Spirit, OleMissSpirit.com, an affiliate of On 3. Sign up today. Again, new members for $1. You can try us out for 5 days for $1. Please scan that QR code and join us today. We would love to have you. We talk about this stuff all the time at the Ole Miss Spirit, OleMissSpirit.com, an affiliate of On 3. And I wrote a story after the loss to Texas A&M, which Ole Miss controlled. They led for over 28 minutes of the game. They were leading by 6 when they went up when they scored their 77th point and didn't score again over the last 3 minutes. And essentially, the crux of the story was, how do you go from Sweet 16 to spiral in 1 year, and trying to diagnose what's wrong with this team. At the end of it all, I think I've come to a couple of things, a couple of conclusions here. Number one, it's concerning that this was a handpicked roster from Chris Beard. I mean, there are no more Kermit Davis holdovers. There are no Matthew Morrells and Jamin Brakefields. This is completely top to bottom Chris's roster, and for it to be performing like this is shocking and startling and concerning for myriad reasons, not the least of which I didn't think Chris Beard had this kind of losing in him, honestly. So there are going to be some hard questions that everyone's going to have to ask themselves. No one expected Ole Miss basketball to have this type of year, 8 straight losses. No one expected that. And yet here they are. And what's led to that? Well, one, some things that have always been issues for Chris Beard teams: rebounding, rim protection. Corey Chest and James Scott, they just haven't provided the impact that Ole Miss has needed. But also just scouting and development in general has to be questioned. They have to be questioned because John Bull was a top 100 player that signed at Ole Miss. Now, I'm not saying he's much of anything in Central Florida, but the fact that he redshirted and give you nothing and then turn around the next year, sign 3 top 100 guys, and the only one that you're getting anything out of is Patton Pinkins, there's something systemically wrong then with your scouting and development, that you can't sign 3 top 100 guys, one of which was in the 30s, and Nico Bundalo, and they can't even contribute and help you. Honestly, what are you going to have to show for 4 top 100 prospects signed out of high school the last 2 years other than Patton Pinkins? Because in this culture, Nico Bundalo and Tyler Jordan, who's redshirting, those guys are on transfer watch. And in a year where it's lost, completely and utterly lost, why then would you not give them a shot and just see what you have? Because this season's lost. AJ Storr, God bless him. But, like, he's here for just another month, right? Malik Dia, he's here for another month. The chemistry hasn't been there. The issues that have always kind of haunted Chris Beard teams, good as they've been, 21 Sweet 16, and then this year, they have still continued to crop up. But, like, Brad, Chris Beard is going to get pursued in the offseason again by other jobs, and somebody's going to try to get him at a discount. But if he ends up sticking around for a 4th year, he's going to have to figure out what went wrong specifically with scouting and development, and maybe change up some things. Ole Miss is one of the slowest teams in the SEC, pace-wise. In this new era, is that wash? I mean, there's going to have to be some real questions asked by Chris Beard for himself, because this is just not what anyone, you, me, Chris, team, could have ever predicted for this group. 8 straight losses. And for me, the last 4 minutes was like a good representation of what Ole Miss basketball has been like all year. Yeah, they've got some real talent, and they can play with anybody, but what is missing? Well, I think chemistry, obviously, culture, which is what Chris Beard builds it around, and some misevaluations and allocation of NIL resources for guys who aren't impacting like they should, like a Travis Berry. It sucks. It's unfortunate. But this is a big, 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 big offseason coming up for Chris Beard and company, because they're going to have to completely turn over the roster again. And after last year, you only returned 2 players, Eduardo Klofke and Malik Dia. You only returned 2 from last year. How many from this group are you going to return? And after seeing what this group did, a whole new group, only 2 returning, what kind of confidence do you have then for next year, building it again on their own? Considering that this year, when everyone said, oh, this is an NCAA tournament team, it wasn't just us either. It was national media guys saying, hey, watch out for Ole Miss. Look what they've gotten. They've gotten 7 transfers, a top 16 transfer class, 3 top 100 players, and they signed a former Eurobasket MVP, and none of it worked. Yes, you can blame the talent and the lack of this, that, but there's systemically something going on then if in year 3 this is the results you're putting out. So a lot of hard questions are going to have to be asked for Ole Miss basketball this offseason. But you're still not going to get past Chris Beard, going to be approached by numerous schools trying to get him at a discount. But it's a shame, because this basketball program, we thought, had moved past this, right? And to see them continue to struggle and talk about, well, they played better than they did against State. Well, against State, they came out and did act like they didn't care at all. You know what I mean? So to hear Chris say that after the game, well, it was a better effort than last time. That's a very low bar to clear. That's a very low bar to clear. And it shouldn't, and like, questions of effort should be the absolute last issue for such a well compensated roster. This is Talk of Champions. I'm Ben Garrett. He's Brad Logan. Support Riverland Roofing. Call them today for all your roofing needs. 662-644-4297. On my hat and online at riverlandroofing.com. The little house up top. It's Riverland Roofing. Also powered by B&A Bank, my hometown bank. Call them today, 662-534-8171. Online at bnabank.com. Drew Moak is the man for your health insurance. If you're shopping, you're looking, Drew Moak of USA Benefits Group, 601-953-8449. Online at quoteswithdrew.com. So to wrap this little basketball portion up, what, in your opinion, has been the biggest problem for this group, and how do you fix it? How do you get this worm turned back next year? And you can do it in one single offseason in the NIL era. You just got to get the right guys. It's alarming that of the 7 transfers they added, the only real hit they've gotten is AJ Storr. So for you, how do you fix it?
You know, last year at the SEC tournament, after Ole Miss beat, who did they beat at the buzzer? Was it Tennessee, Arkansas?
You talking about this year?
No, last year in the SEC tournament. You know, they beat somebody. Help us out in the chat. They beat somebody in the last. Padula hit the last second shot because I was standing under the goal, and I cannot remember who the team was. And then they matched up against Auburn on Friday, and then lost to Auburn. Anyway,
Arkansas.
Thank you, Ole Miss fan.
I did. I looked it up. No one else did. Oh, well, someone else did too. Ole Miss fan.
I thought it was Arkansas. Okay. So post-game press conference, I heard Beard say 3 times when it was winning time, when it was winning time, when it was winning time. Well, every time this year that it's in winning time, which to me is could be the final minute, could be the final 5 minutes, could be the final 3 minutes, when your balls are in a vice and you've got to make a decision one way or the other. And anytime it's winning time this year at Ole Miss, they just haven't worked it out.
Mm-mm.
And we've not heard Chris say winning time very much this year because
kissing down their legs.
Yeah. And so that's number one. Number 2 is simply consistency. If Malik Dia would play like he did against Mississippi State a couple nights ago in a losing effort, if he plays like that all year with AJ Storr and Travis Perry does anything, if they get bench production, Klafke has done what he kind of needed to do. He was out with an injury last night. He wasn't able to play. But if they could get any type of production off the bench, compound, and I'm calling AJ Storr starter. He brings him off the bench, whatever. He's the best player on the team right now. And consistency. They've not had any of that. And I think those are the 2 things. They can't close when they have the opportunity. And secondly, they cannot be consistent throughout the game. And to me, that has been the tell of the tape. Now, someone posted in the chat earlier that, Beard needs to figure it out. I can promise you, if nobody in the United States understands that they need to figure it out any more than Chris does. And I do feel like he will do everything in his power to figure out what's going on with this team. It'll be a complete turnover. We know that. But I think one thing that Ben has said over and over that nobody's really paying as much attention to as I think they need to is I understand people may be frustrated with Chris Beard, and I understand people may be, reticent to extending and getting ready for next year. Here's the thing that people aren't talking about that Ben has been very adamant. Other teams are going to talk to Chris Beard.
Mm-hmm.
And the question is does Chris say, you know what, I did all I can do here. I'm out. I don't know. I've not spoken to Chris about this, so I have no idea what his thought process is. But I agree with Ben, and I think enough people aren't talking about the fact that Chris will be a name that people talk about during the offseason. Much more, I think, than in years past because of this new world of NIL, this new world of college basketball, this new world of college athletics. It is on steroids now, literally and figuratively. It's going so fast. Things are changing so quickly. People are investing their money much more than they have in the past, which means they have a bigger seat at the table, which means they can be part of the process of decision making, which means things can happen at a rapid pace, and it's not a snail's pace from just an athletic director with a search firm anymore. These are thousands of people that are giving money that have a vested interest in programs across the country that help make decisions much, much faster than in years past, which means it's more instant results. You want instant because you have a seat at the table, you have a financial stake. And so, and I'm not just speaking on behalf of Ole Miss fans, I'm speaking on behalf of fans across the country. If School B over here is not doing well, and they've seen what Chris Beard can do at Ole Miss, which I have been very adamant that Ole Miss is not one of the upper tier jobs in the SEC. So if you've got a job somewhere else and they're willing to pay Chris whatever they think Chris deserves, and Chris believes that he's going to be compensated for what he deserves, and he thinks he can do something at another school, there's really nothing Keith Carter or anybody else can do if Chris makes his mind up that he wants to move on. I think it has to be the perfect job. I do believe that Chris is a really good basketball coach, and I personally believe that this offseason he will turn it around. I think he's going to stay. I think he likes it in Oxford. I think the administration at Ole Miss really like Chris Beard, and I think I'm crossing my fingers that this year is simply an anomaly, and they can figure some things out.
Yep, and if they don't, man, I can't imagine what the questions will be like next year. If Chris Beard can't figure it out, then who the heck can at Ole Miss? I push back against the idea that Ole Miss basketball is still one of the worst jobs in the SEC, only because, I mean, what have they done that no one else has done? I mean, I would say that they paid more for their roster than South Carolina. I mean, they've paid more than pick your schools. I mean, they've been more.
It's more than money to me, though, Ben.
Sure,
it's about buy-in.
Sure.
It's about so many other things.
But after a Sweet 16, there was no question about the buy-in. After a Sweet 16, there's no question about the roster building. For me, the most alarming thing is that you have now put together a roster completely of your guys, and you're a part of a completely lost season. And there's hard questions that Chris is going to have to ask himself. But first, Ole Miss is going to have to get through what is likely going to be another pursuit of Chris Beard, or multiple pursuits of Chris Beard from other schools, because those schools look at it and say, oh, we can get him for a discount now. One of the best coaches in college basketball for a discount. We'll see how it goes. Right now it's lost. I know a lot of people have been asking about specifically, Ole Miss basketball, what we think about it. At this point, you're playing out the string, and I'm fascinated to see how many players actually from this roster stick around. How many Chris wants to stick around, how many want to stick around. The 3 top 100 signees after what happened with John Bowl, that's what I'm watching. What do their futures end up being? If it's at Ole Miss or not, how they end up, and how does that team that's how can they not, for a team that's lost 8 straight, how can they not help you? Now we welcome in former Ole Miss wide receiver Trey Fryfogle, also a celebrity of the Talk of Champions chat. What's up, Trey? How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you guys? I appreciate you having me on today.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Like I said, like Trey's been in our chat hanging with us, and I was like, wait a second, is that former Ole Miss wide receiver Trey Fryfogle, who appeared in 20 games? He started 2, 18 receptions, 200 yards, a touchdown. First and foremost, man, like, how are things now for you? What are you doing?
Man, things are great. Got a big, beautiful family, beautiful wife. 5 boys, a lot of sports, soccer, football, track, all that, stay involved in all that, a lot of hunting and fishing and working on the railroad. Been doing that for 18 years now, and watching a lot of Ole Miss football.
There you go. Hey, I got one question. How's Ty doing, and why did he not come to Ole Miss?
Grant Hurd is why he didn't come to Ole Miss. He's doing great, man. He's doing really well. But yeah, when Grant left, when Freeze left and Grant went to Indiana, he went with Grant.
Yeah, I knew that, but I wanted to hear from you. And also, that's a former Ole Miss Rebel, Grant Hurd, too. So you know what? We can't hate on it. You know what I mean?
He built that relationship there, and it was strong. And hey, he's a good coach and a good recruiter,
So how's Ty doing now? Where's he at now?
He's back in Lucedale now, traveling around, working. He's selling software for home health and that kind of stuff. So he travels around. He's actually going down to Fort Lauderdale this weekend, going offshore fishing. So
Oh, nice.
Weekend, yeah.
Nice.
And now, I don't know if y'all know this or not, but Deuce Knight is Ty's brother, half brother.
Did you know that, Ben?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's right.
I learned something here today.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so give me the scouting report for one Deuce Knight once he's Ole Miss quarterback Trey Fryfogle, former Ole Miss wide receiver.
So, I have a son the same age as Deuce, and we played Pee Wee football coming up. I did get a chance to coach Deuce just a little bit on some all-star teams, but I had to play against Deuce most of the time. And he's a phenomenal athlete. He's tough as nails. I actually saw him take possibly the hardest hit I've ever seen on a football field. His helmet flew 20 feet in the air, and he got up and still beat us in the Super Bowl.
Oh, dude.
He's tough. He's super smart. Great kid. Great kid. Going to be awesome. Cannot wait.
Trey, I want to, first of all, man, thanks for joining us.
Yes.
You know, I've really enjoyed getting to visit with you about all things George County, Lucedale, Ole Miss, Deuce Knight, my good friend James Ray, who, by the way, another tie, James
sound?
Ray. Can you hear me okay?
Hey, I lost my sound.
Ben? Yeah, Ben, I've lost your sound. So
all right, we got to figure out how to get him back. All right, so let's drop Trey. Trey, you come in and join us, okay? Rejoin us. All right.
Go back into the link, Trey.
Yeah, go. Let's get tell him to. I had to duck out for just a second. We got to figure that thing out, man.
I know. When you bring him back, just keep your screen on.
Okay, here we go.
Trey,
can you hear us?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
I got you. Can you hear us?
I can't hear you guys.
All right, here we go. Here's what we're gonna boot him out, kick him from the studio, and tell him to come. Text him, tell him to come back in. Text him, come back in.
Live radio, ladies and gentlemen.
Lane Wilkinson says, sound like Trey ain't got a TV. 5 kids, 5 boys too. I bet they all play football. Trey Fryfogle, former Ole Miss wide receiver.
And nobody knew that Deuce and
I didn't know that
Trey's son were half brothers. And Lucedale, man, is Lucedale is just a product. Trey, can you hear me? This is Brad.
I can hear you now.
Okay,
yes.
Ben, keep everything open, please.
Staying right here.
Awesome. Trey, I want to go back to Lucedale, Mississippi, and my good friend who was a head coach there at George County, James Ray, who's now in the administration. By the way, Ben, also James's son Fisher Ray,
right,
if you know, is a
coach
on
Fisher.
the staff. So it's almost like the 7 degrees of Lucedale, Mississippi.
Dominating Ole Miss. No, we got Lucedale flavor over here at Ole Miss now, bro.
Tried to get McKinley Jackson up there too, but that didn't work out.
Great player. So Trey, I want to go back to 1999-ish, 2000 when you signed with Ole Miss, and I want to read some of the names in that signing class in the year 2000. I want to go back to when you decided to come to Ole Miss. Take me back to your senior year. Tell me about growing up in Lucedale in the final year of your senior season and kind of some superlatives of that year.
Well, I mean, I'm born and raised in Lucedale and love it. I grew up in a football family in Lucedale. My grandpa played at Tennessee. My dad played at Gulf Coast and Division II school, Oklahoma Panhandle. Uncle played at Gulf Coast, so we all played football. But I was fortunate to have some fantastic high school coaches and had an awesome high school career. Loved it. Ended up with, like 3,200 all-purpose yards my junior and senior year, and a bunch of 28 touchdowns, 16 interceptions. Probably the most memorable.
What's a game you remember, Trey? What's a game you remember your senior year?
First round of the playoffs, Picayune was ranked number 2 in the state.
Yeah, I thought you'd say that.
Ranked at all. Yeah. So we go down to Big Picayune, and I had 10 catches, 280 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and like 12 tackles, and we won the game on a last-second interception.
I thought I would tee that up for you because I remember the game, and
absolutely.
that's when the name Trey Fryfogle came across my ears and eyes whenever I saw that. And then you had a really big year, and you made the decision to come to Ole Miss. Take me through the recruitment of Ole Miss and your decision to come to Oxford.
Well, I was, Southern Miss State and Ole Miss all recruited me pretty hard. Auburn recruited me really hard, and then LSU as well. That was the main ones. it pretty much came down to Auburn and Ole Miss. And at the time, I was being recruited by Ron Middleton and Richard Bisaccia. And
Right.
I mean, they won me over, man. They were awesome guys, and I still talk to Mid a little bit here and there. And they just, that's where I was coming. And I remember when I committed to Ole Miss on my official visit, Cutcliffe sat me down. He said, "So you're committing to us?" I said, "Yes, sir." And he said, "So if you're gonna commit," he says, "it's gonna be like my marriage, right? When I proposed to my wife, we didn't get married for a year, but I couldn't go out and see other women. So if you're committing, you got to cut them all off." I said,
Yeah.
"Yes, sir." So I did, and stuck with my commitment. I'm glad I did.
All right, who
Go
was
ahead.
like our Auburn, LSU? Who are all the coaches of these schools back then? Like I'm trying to remember.
Tuberville,
Yeah.
Cheryl was at Mississippi State.
Mhm.
Bowers was at Southern Miss, and DiNardo was at LSU.
Did Tubbs recruit you while he was at Ole Miss?
No, he didn't.
Okay.
Dunn did. I think he went with him to Auburn. Then he recruited me really hard from Auburn.
Okay. Looking back at that, Ben, listen to these names.
Mm.
This is the 2000 class.
I bet
Charlie Anderson, out of Mississippi, by the way. Charlie Anderson out of Provine. Doug Buckles. Doug Buckles will be a Bulldog, by the way.
Mm.
Doug Buckles out of Madison Central. Chris Collins out of Amite County.
Legend.
This is not Mississippi, but our good friend Bill Flowers out of Pelham High School in Alabama. Trey out of George County. Who else do we have? Kerry Johnson from Oxford High School. Marcus Johnson, who is awesome. Brian Lester out of Holly Springs. Yes. Jonathan Nichols out of Greenwood. This is not a Mississippi native, but I've got to say this name. Rick Rosano, Ben, our favorite fullback.
And I got to bring up another one, too. They were both my roommates. Cody Ridgway.
Ridgway.
Out of Jackson, Tennessee. That was my next one.
Hartsfield.
Rob Robertson. We remember Rob.
Number 81 for a linebacker. And for some reason, like I love David Cutcliffe. I will die on the hill of David Cutcliffe for as long as I draw breath. However, didn't Rob Robertson start over Patrick Willis when Patrick was a freshman because of like seniority rules? Didn't David Cutcliffe love seniority stuff?
He did. Now my redshirt freshman year, I started over a senior the first game at Auburn.
That's true.
So I had a good week in practice and got the bump. So
the final one was Eric Tucker.
Eric Tucker, that's right. Yep, Eric Tucker. Me and him had the same birthday, if anybody didn't know that.
But that was an interesting 2000. And then that class of 2000. So 01 and 02, your first 2 years, a lot of games to remember, some not to remember. Obviously, the one that everybody talks about is the 01 game against Arkansas. But I want to go back to the year, the 2000. Was that Music City?
That was Music City, yes.
Okay. That was one of the coldest moments of my life, not named Memphis.
That week of bowl practice and in game, not that it was anything compared to what just happened in Oxford, and I hope everybody's doing well from that. But it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. We had an ice storm, and it was the practice was horrible.
So take me back to the huddle, Trey, and that was when Eli was a true freshman, and that was when Romero was Romero a senior?
Mm-hmm.
He was a senior. That's right. Eli came in against West Virginia and did really well.
We were down, I think, 42-17.
Yeah.
And, West Virginia had a really good defense, and I think they did some substitutions. And then I'm not taking anything away from what Eli did, but the game, I'll tell you, it was much different when Eli came in. I think, in fact, that they substituted, put some starters back in the game whenever Eli brought them back. But that was kind of when Eli kind of cranked it up. What was it like playing with Eli?
It was awesome, man. He's a great leader. He was a clown in the locker room, though. My locker and Bill's and Chris was right next to his. Every time we'd come out of the shower, he'd throw a wad of fresh soap on our backs. We have to get back in. And so he was a bit of a prankster, but Eli was awesome. He's a legend. Of course, he should be in the Hall of Fame right now, and I'm sure he'll get there.
When you started as a true freshman, Trey, walk me through some environments that you kind of walked into and thought, this is not George County High School anymore?
Well, I didn't. So I redshirted my freshman year. So as a redshirt freshman, I started at my first game. My first start ever was at Auburn, and that was the first time we'd been back to Auburn since Tuberville left. And I
Payback
remember
game.
in the huddle, the first drive in the huddle, we couldn't hear him calling the play, so we did some hand signals right in the huddle. Like we literally could not hear what he was saying in the huddle. And they got all the orange and blue pom poms going side to side, and it's like you're in a, it's wild, yeah. My welcome to the SEC moment was actually at practice, first day of camp when we did board drills, and I drew Seneca Taylor board drill. So I got a welcome to the SEC moment at practice. Also got one my redshirt freshman year at Arkansas when Ken Hamlin hit me so hard I lost my chin strap and my mouthpiece. Yeah.
These are names that like get me hyped. Ken Hamlin.
Oh my gosh.
Seneca Taylor was a legend for me. And then the payback game in Auburn was like, because I remember exactly where I was. That was 20-something years ago now, but I remember exactly where I was and like how personal it felt and how exciting it was to get payback on Tubbs for fans. As for players, were y'all just out there shit talking like crazy? I mean, what was that like to get that payback?
Been more for the guys this year ahead of us because they were involved in all that. We were right behind that, you know. Probably one of my most memorable games, which was the best game I had as a receiver, was the Florida game. When we beat them in 2002, they tore the goalpost down and all that. That was awesome. And then
was that Rex Grossman?
Rex Grossman in the end zone.
That's right. And then the LSU, when Doug Ziegler caught the pass in the back of the end zone, you know, we beat them. That was down in Death Valley. Now that was an awesome game as well.
That's when everybody says being the loudest moment up until a couple of years ago. Maybe we could argue it was Tulane this year, or whatever. But the loudest moment in that stadium was it Johnson's interception against Florida to return for a touchdown? Was that him? Am I saying that right? Who was who intercepted the Travis Johnson?
Travis Johnson?
Yes.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll never forget when Matty Mock was driving in 2003 and Travis Johnson stepped in front of that pass that was for a touchdown and intercepted. I thought Ole Miss was going to win it.
You're right, Ben. I'm sorry. That was LSU.
Yes.
Ole Miss, Travis Johnson. Thank you.
That was Matt. I think you're talking about Mr. Matt Greer.
Yes,
I'm thinking of Matt Greer. Yes, thank you.
Matt Greer, yeah, that's right.
See, hey, don't stop your boy BG, all right? When it comes to Ole Miss pools, I got him for days. Number 44, Matt Greer. Trey Fryfogle sitting here on my pod telling me he went on the boards with Seneca Taylor. You know what I mean? Come on now.
I drew Seneca Taylor day one and Kenyatta Lucas on day two. So they gave it to us freshman receivers. Me, Bill, and Chris Collins, they didn't take it easy on us, that's for sure.
Oh, that's what I was about to say. Hold on. Seneca Taylor, then Ken Lucas. They were like trying to baptize your ass, man.
That they did. They absolutely did.
So Kenny Hamlin's won at Arkansas, Trey. Who else in the SEC could pop?
I guess when we played Auburn in Oxford in 2002, I made top 10 hits of the week on ESPN. On the bad side of that, Dontarius Thomas, linebacker from Auburn. I caught a slant route from Eli, turned up, tried to go in the end zone on about the 3-yard line. He was waiting on me, put his helmet in my chest and drove me into the ground. About like that Patrick Willis hit against LSU.
Yeah.
So he could hit, yeah. He was a good one.
What
then my Texas Tech game, caught my first touchdown from Eli. So I'll always remember that one.
The same Texas Tech where when was that one? Was that the BJ Sims game?
That was in 2002. I know they were throwing tortilla shells on the field.
BJ Simons, BJ Simons, was that not Cotton Bowl?
No, dude. Like that, like we're getting back, which is my whole thing though, is I just remember my most, like, I always associate Texas Tech with Ole Miss, like was 7-1 in the SEC in Eli's last year with losses to Memphis and Texas Tech, which is like the most Ole Miss thing ever. And I remember BJ Sims threw for like 600 yards or something crazy that year.
I was not there in 2003. 2002 was right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But like that's my Texas Tech Association is that damn team that spoiled an almost perfect friggin' season for Ole Miss football. Oh yeah, Ole Miss fan 9198-824 says it was the Cotton Bowl. But yeah, sorry, I wanted to chime in because like you're starting to bring back some memories for me here, Trey. This is like because like listen, when Trey showed up, he's wearing number 3, white wide receiver. I'm thinking, oh damn, you know what I mean? We got a dog. What did you play defensively at George County?
I played safety, and I actually had the option to do that at Ole Miss when I got there. I spent a few days at safety at camp, a few days at receiver, and Cutcliffe gave me the option. I chose wide receiver, but
you wanted glory.
So.
You wanted touchdown glory.
Yeah, I wanted the glory. That's right.
Hey Trey, away from the field, and I've not asked you this, so I don't know what the answer is. How was David Cutcliffe away from the football field? Was he what everybody would assume he would be, and like an incredibly nice guy?
Oh, absolutely. And he was not necessarily like your players type coach. He was like a father figure type coach, and he was a great man, awesome guy. Yep. There's a lot of things he talked about all the time. I still think about all the time. Yep. He was good.
You know, I know you talked a lot about Auburn because you had obviously that return game when Tubb left the Pine Box and all that. What are some other venues you remember playing in that you think of fondly?
Going to Lexington, had a big third down catch where I drugged my feet on the sideline. I remember that. And going to Athens. Athens was cool. That was a cool place. Didn't play in Gainesville, but we did play South Carolina. South Carolina, that's a great place. It's somewhere I took Tyler on visits at. You know, he almost went to South Carolina at one point, but and then Baton Rouge, man, that place it was wild down there.
Hey Trey,
they were rocking our buses
Yeah.
after we beat them that night.
Is there any sense of pride? Like, for example, when Ole Miss won the Sugar Bowl, and I always like to ask former players this, even though, you know, maybe some years have passed, but when Ole Miss wins games like against Georgia in the Sugar Bowl, or wins against Georgia at home, or beats LSU at home or on the road, or in this case makes it to the Fiesta Bowl in the college football playoff, do you allow yourself to have that sense of pride to where, man, I wore that jersey. This is special to me. I'm proud for these players. I'm proud for these fans. You know, I wore that uniform, and I'm damn proud to be an Ole Miss Rebel. Does any of that ever enter your mind?
Absolutely, all the time, man. I am super proud of this university and this football program and where they're at right now, what they've done over the past 4 or 5 years, the turmoil they just went through, and come out on the other side with the number 2 transfer portal in the country and ready to steam ahead. I think Pete Golden is going to be awesome. I love where the team's at. And yes, every time they win a football game, I feel pride. Absolutely. Win or lose, doesn't matter. But yes.
Who are some of your favorite teammates that you played with at Ole Miss? Maybe not some that you stay in contact with, but some during the time that you spent in Oxford. Man, I really appreciate that dude. He did a lot for me.
Oh man, Cody Ridgway, one of my best friends. Cody, Raz, of course. You know, Stackhouse. Me, Cody, Rick, and Stackhouse roomed together for a couple years. And I love those guys. Bo Hartsfield, Jonathan Nichols, Doug Buckles. All these guys are just
be a Bulldog.
We were all Dandy Dozen. A lot of us were Dandy Dozen. Chris Collins, me and him are really close. Good guy. Kerry Johnson. Brian Lester. Brian comes and stays with me at least once a year, and we visit and hang out. And I try to get up to Oxford and see him when I can. But man, I could keep going. A lot of guys.
When you walk into the stadium, Vaught Hemingway Stadium, obviously some years past, they passed for Ben and I's oil, so you're not alone there, Trey. But you still get that feeling when you walk inside the stadium.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. Take my kids down there to see the wall with our names on it, and go take them in the practice facility, let them watch spring practice. We went up last year and watched the spring practice, and yeah, it is. It's a great pride to be able to take my kids up there and give them something to strive for. I do have a couple more coming down the pipe that you'll be hearing about in a few years. So yeah, absolutely.
Don't let them talk to Grant Hurd, okay? Don't let them do that.
You get Grant back in Oxford.
That's That's the easiest path. That's the
We
path
got
of least
Spurlock
resistance.
back. We got Spurlock back, right?
Yeah,
I'm saying.
Hey, I saw Spurlock at the women's game the other night. I talked to him for a while. I mean, you could not wipe the smile off his face.
Man,
He was so happy to be back.
That's who he is.
The big calves.
Oh, what? What? Them things are bigger in my head, man.
Talking about a freak show. Man, that dude was something.
So, from the pride aspect of it, like the pride you still feel for Ole Miss, even though Grant Hurd stole tie from Ole Miss and he went to Indiana. The pride, like, what was it like for you? What did you think of how the whole Lane stuff went down and just how it was handled and this, that, and the other?
Man, I honestly didn't like it at all. I was Lane's biggest fan when he was here, and I still am a Lane Kiffin fan. I think he's a great coach. He'll do great things at LSU. He did great things for us. Like, he literally helped put us on the map. But I didn't like how it went down. It's being in a locker room, being a player, and being involved in all that. I don't know how you walk away from a team that's going to the playoffs like that. I mean, I don't understand it. Never will. But I didn't like that. But what Lane did for us, I thank him for that for sure.
And what do you think about Pete? You mentioned him a little bit earlier on. Just like, what do you think this program can be? Do you think they can just keep rolling along? I mean, what's your impressions of Pete and the program?
I think when you see a coach take over like that, in that situation, and the team react the way they did in the playoffs, the way they played, we're in great hands. We're gonna be fine. I mean, that team completely reacted to having him as their coach, and they went out there and beat Georgia, beat Tulane, and almost beat Miami. So yeah, I think we're going to be just fine.
Was there pass interference on the last play as a former wide receiver? DeJohn's, yes,
100%.
Yeah, I mean, Trinidad Chambliss was asked in court. He was asked straight up in court. Was it pass interference? Under oath, my man said yes. That was pass interference.
It was
Hey, I want to echo what Tony Hall said, Trey. People like you put Ole Miss on the map. All the hard work, the blood, sweat, and tears, even 20 years ago. I mean, people remember that. I mean, Ole Miss fans, they may love to party. They may get a little wild, but what they're a very loyal bunch, and they really appreciate.
My uncle actually told me that the other day. He said, back from what he remembers watching Ole Miss through the years, that the Deuce and Romero and Corey Peterson and that bunch. Yeah. It's almost like that era kind of started the trajectory to where Ole Miss is now.
Hell yeah, it did. Yeah. Dude, don't get me started in rattling off names. Like, I saw Tuton Reyes on the sideline the other day. It's like I'd seen a presidential candidate. You know what I mean? See Kamon Fisher celebrating that man wearing 84 as a defensive tackle. That group is special, man.
A name I haven't mentioned is Derek Burgess.
Burgess, bro.
Wow. Just watching that dude at practice was something.
The fact that you pulled out Seneca Taylor on the boards, I just want to go back 20 years ago and watch that. Because, like, Seneca Taylor was like, when he wasn't going out there and dominating on a football field as a return man, as a safety, a defensive back, he was going over to basketball and throwing down like crazy dunks.
That's what people don't forget. I mean, people forget that Seneca Taylor could ball on the basketball.
That dude.
So when I was in 10th grade, he was a senior at Gulfport, and we played them, and he dropped 43 points on us, and he had 12 dunks that night. It was like a dunk contest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had one to his 12, and he come over at me, he said, "White boy can jump, huh?"
And that's the thing, Trey, you could, man. You could get up. What was like the best vertical you ever did? Like, you could get up.
I did a 40.5, 40 and a half inches. Yeah.
What was the fastest?
So you play basketball?
I couldn't beat Tavares Horn, though. He beat me on the vertical. That guy could jump, man.
Yeah, but what about the 40?
On the 40?
Did you ever hit 4.3?
I did. I actually ran on a workout, a Canadian workout in Shreveport. I ran a 4.26, 4.29 laser. Yeah.
That man just recited an ad lib. He said, where like you were in Shreveport for a Canadian Football League tryout?
Yeah, that's right.
That is, and he hit that 4.3 though. What I tell you, that's why he could wear that 3. That 3 was for 4.3.
Well, I'm a big track guy now. Track was actually my first love now. Yeah,
really?
I ran USA track and field and went to Canada, went to Seattle, ran in a couple of international meets for the USA Junior Olympic team. Yeah.
Were you hurdles, 100, 200? What were you doing?
100, 200, 400.
Hell yeah, he was. You were probably like the anchor leg of the freaking relay too when you needed to be.
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes.
Of course he was, because he was the best athlete on the field. He was Trey Fryfogle. Come on. Sorry, I interrupted again. I'm marking out a little bit because I remember this man right here like it was yesterday. These are the dudes like Trey Fryfogle. I mean, in some of the other names he rattled off, like Charles Stackhouse, Rick Rosano. These are dudes like back when in the 2000s I was growing up. I was in high school. I graduated 2004. These are the dudes like I would cut out their pictures from the old media guys. You don't even get media guys no more, bro. So I would cut out a picture of Trey Fryfogle and them Deuce going up and over. Like I still got one right up here on the wall. That's Eli in 01, bro.
Hey,
that's the Alabama game.
Or you, Ross Barkley.
Ross Barkley from New Albany, baby.
New Albany guy, man.
My guy, Ross Barkley. Matt Coon, Ross Barkley, Jay Kirkland. But Ross Barkley, we're at number 49 as a wide receiver. It's like, Ross, they couldn't even give you like a generic wide receiver number. You couldn't even get like number 83. My man's out there catching tutties at 49.
Yeah, Ross was legit, man. He's very legit.
Saying, like outside of Eli Anding, the best football player to ever come out of New Albany is Ross Barkley.
That was going to be my question. Other than Eli, who's the guy? So it's Ross Barkley.
George Howell he went pro, but like, dude, Andre Ivy was something serious. Tyler McKenzie, I saw him at the Fiesta Bowl. That man played safety at Ole Miss. But if you're gonna make me put my money on Eli Anding's the best football player these eyes have ever put on a football player, by golly. That man was a quarterback for your New Albany Bulldogs. He was dominating Trey Fryfogle. I know that's probably shocking to you. But Ross Barkley was the same thing. And the worst thing about Ross, or the blessing for Ross, dude, Ross didn't even have to try with girls. He didn't have to try.
I'm gonna go there.
I'm just saying, he didn't have to try. Some guys are just blessed, is all I'm going to say. All right? And Ross Barkley was one of them. I'm taking it off the rails again. Sorry. Back to you, Brad.
Trey, I just want to say thank you for jumping on.
Dude.
Appreciate everything you did while you were in Oxford. And I know coming back is important to you, to your family. And so being a former Rebel, I know you're excited to be able to come back. And we appreciate you joining us today.
You're the man, Trey.
I appreciate y'all having me on, man. I watch the show every day, and I will continue to watch it.
Please, awesome. And keep staying in the chat. When I saw Trey Fryfogle, that's a name that you don't forget, bro. That's a name.
I had it. My YouTube name was under my charter business where I ran charters for 8 years, and I never switched it back. So I'd been in there for a while. I just didn't think you recognized it.
Oh, dude. If there's anybody that was in the year of our Lord 2026 that will remember Trey Fryfogle, buddy, you're looking at him. Okay, so I will tell your story till I die. Trey, thank you for coming on, man.
Okay, man. Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Y'all have a good one.
Appreciate it, Trey.
He's Trey Fryfogle. Man, that was so much fun, dude. That was like a walk down memory lane for a little bit, man. I'm telling you.
We hope everybody enjoyed that, and the chat's really jumping.
What a great dude! What an absolutely great dude! I'm so thankful for Trey Fryfogle. His son was a dog too, and he said he's got more. He has 5 sons, 5 kids, 5 sons. He said he's got a couple more coming down the pike too. So hey, be on the lookout. More Fryfogles potentially for your Ole Miss Rebels, Brad. Thank you for setting that up. It was really fun to talk to him, and to really just like when he brought up Seneca Taylor on the boards, I marked out hard. I'm not gonna lie to you. This is Talk of Champions. I'm Ben Garrett. He's Brad Logan. That QR code above Brad's head is for the Ole Miss Spirit, OMSpirit.com, affiliate of On3. New members can sign up for $1. We would love to have you at the Ole Miss Spirit, OMSpirit.com, and affiliate of On3. Again, our thanks to Trey Fryfogle for dropping in and talking to us. Man, what a great, great dude, and that was really, really cool. If you haven't already, subscribe, rate, review Talk of Champions in iTunes, wherever you get your podcast, YouTube, hit the like, set the notifications, all that kind of stuff. Our thanks to Riverland Roofing, to B&A Bank, to College Corner on your screen right now for your Ole Miss merch. Call them today at 662-550-4330. That's 662-550-4330. Online at collegecornerstore.com. All right, Brad. Ben, I missed Trey. Can you highlight? Oh, man, how do you highlight that? Go for it, Brad.
No, real quick, Stacy, thanks for jumping on. No problem. This is going to be loaded up to YouTube within 30 minutes after we finish, so you can go back and watch it. So thanks very much, Stacy, for jumping on. We appreciate you. And just go back and you can watch it. Highlight it. Man, we just went back to the early 2000s and had a lot of fun. That's what we did. It was awesome. And, Trey was great. We've been working on getting him on the show for a while, and that's what it was about. But you're right. It was awesome. Thanks, Stacy, and you can go back and listen to it. So, yeah, Ben, let's get into it. The debate.
All right. Here we go. So, for those that don't know, Mr. Brad Logan, well, it makes sense now because, like I've written for On3. I've been a part of On3 for a long time. now. It's like 6-7 years now. 6 years? I don't know.
Yeah.
And I didn't get the invite to come on Crane and Cone with On 3. Honestly, I just found out that this was a show yesterday. But one Brad Logan did. There he is, arguing with an LSU guy and these fine, strapping young lads.
Not beating LSU on a consistent basis.
There you
66,
are. Can you hear yourself?
4 overall in the series. LSU has had Ole Miss's number. You look in Oxford, that series.
Okay, so that is essentially what went down. It's an hour or so. Oh, how long was this? I'm not going to say it was an hour when it wasn't. It was 38 minutes, so close enough.
Yeah.
38 minutes. First and foremost, how do you think you held up?
I mean, I think I did fine. I mean, that's just not my forte. And I texted you last night. I was like, Ben, the longer this goes on, the more uncomfortable I've gotten about how it went. I mean, Jake immediately, first of all, Jake Crane, like I said earlier, closer in Oxford. But I think in a totality.
Okay, I'm listening to you. I was just trying to play a little bit while you talk. I'm sorry. Keep going.
So Jake texted me and said, hey, man, I've got this new thing I'm doing with my guys. And I'd love for you to come on and talk. Do you know Blake Ruffino? I was like, yeah, I know Blake very well. And he said, would you? I was like, I would love to. But once again, this is not my area now. I'm not combative. I never have been. I've always been respectful. And so all of this lends itself to not be a very good debate. But I said, I will be glad to help you out. He said, well, Brad, I want you. And I was like, okay. He, like I said, Jake and I go way back to when Jake had a laptop and a microphone and a phone and a cell phone. That was it. And thank you, Tony, because that was my goal, is I'm not going to be disrespectful. I'm going to be people talk about a class act. That's me. I mean, I'm just not going to interrupt people. I mean, that's just – I'm not going to, use foul language. I mean, that's just not me. And so we rocked on, and I think it went fine. I went back to listen to it.
Who did that best describe of the two right here, right now? Interrupts, bad language, combative, loud. This was more of a platform for Ben.
And I admit that. But I didn't know until I got into the middle of it, and I thought, this is not going well. But then he started, and then he being Blake, and then I'll tell him the same thing. He started saying things. He started going all in on Pete Golding, and I didn't understand that. We were talking about Lane, and he starts talking about Pete and then the Ole Miss was holding back Lane Kiffin. I thought, Blake,
wait. Say that again?
I think we need to have Blake on our show.
Is this Blake with the AYS hat?
Yes.
This is the cat that's always trying to come at me on Twitter.
Well, I don't know about that, but he's got his own thing, and we get along fine. But we could share the streams and all that. I think it would be a good show for me to moderate you and Blake.
Well, I mean, if he's going to come in here and talk about how Ole Miss held Lane Kiffin back, then it's going to be hard for me not to just laugh in his face.
Yeah.
Are we serious?
I'm very serious, and my thoughts were, Blake, that's inaccurate because Lane had everything he wanted in Oxford. He built that roster in 24 and 25. And Benny,
so the crux of this argument,
I think we need to have Blake on the show.
Okay, well, Blake, you have a standing invitation. Come on, buddy. You're welcome to come on and talk. But seriously,
but he had some good points too. I mean, I'm pulling out. I'm kind of cherry picking here, but he had some good points. But he also said, here's another thing I want to ask you, Ben, because he said something in the show I didn't understand. He said that Tony Anese's testimony was closed and that the judge would not allow him to testify. That's not true, is it?
I have heard none of that. No.
Yeah. So he said that, and I'm like, I don't know about all that. So. Anyway, I obviously kept my composure. I didn't get loud. I thought I was very fair and probably too fair. But like I said, people were texting me, man, you did a great job. I didn't think I did. But then again, I'm probably my worst critic, but that's just not my forte. But I do think Blake coming on here would be really good so we could kind of take it a little bit further. And he's all about that type of stuff. He's all about confrontation and very, very loud debate and stuff. And I'm not, but I do think it would work on this platform for you and him to have some discussions. I'm very grateful to Jake Crane and David Cohn, his entire team, because they're all really good. they're like me and you, man. They started out on our own. They started out small, and they've grown, and they're of course a part of the On3 family. But yeah, I mean that's why that Jake asked me. We talk all the time, and he said, "Hey, I'm starting something new," and yeah, it went pretty crazy. In the chat, the comments on last I checked on YouTube were very much in the favor of Blake, but I feel like that's the LSU people coming to Blake's defense. So
all right,
and that's okay too.
All right. What is the biggest beef people have with your performance on Crane and Cone? Like, is it something Blake brought up? I would love to know, because if the crux of their belief that Blake walked all over you is that Lane Kiffin or Ole Miss held Lane Kiffin back, I can't even take that dude seriously.
And that Pete had the opportunity against Georgia, and they gave up X amount of points against Georgia and all that. And
hey, did you mention the record of Lane Kiffin with Pete and without him?
I can't remember.
23-13 without him.
Yeah,
with him, a little bit different.
Yeah, I think it would be great to have. I think it was a great idea. I do think it would be good to have Blake on the show and just kind of let you guys go. I think that would be fun. Anyway, that's the way it was. Obviously, the Ole Miss fans. I mean, our board. It was posted on our board, and it got a lot of reaction.
You acted like you were catching strays, and you weren't.
Yeah, I was halfway joking with that, but my thoughts were that, and Blake didn't like this at all. But I said, if you really look at the big games, here's one thing I would caution LSU fans: is Lane has yet to win very many big games in his head coaching career, and he didn't like that at all. But I said, you look back at 24 and 25, and even back into 23, specifically road games, on the road at Alabama, on the road at Georgia, on the road at LSU, he's lost all of those games. And he also lost games that he should have won that were not on the defense in 24 against Kentucky, against Florida, and against LSU. He lost all three of those games, and he didn't like that either. So,
okay, here's something that I want to make very crystal clear. We've been saying this ad nauseum for a long, long time, but it bears repeating. Join Built Different Fitness today, please. 662-832-0961, online at bdoxford.com. I'm doing Lent, and I've given up sweets and beer for at least all the way until Easter. But I'm also going to be trying to get into the gym more, and our friends at Built Different Fitness are the reason why. They've been with us for months now, and man, what great partners they've been. So please support them. Get your journey started, your fitness journey started the right way with people who give a crap about you. At Ole Miss fans at Built Different Fitness, 662-832-0961, online at bdoxford.com. We've been saying this for months. No one begrudges Lane Kiffin of leaving. No one begrudges him of leaving. What everyone does take issue with is how he did it.
yes.
All right? The comedy of saying that Ole Miss held him back when Ole Miss has been front leading in the NIL space while LSU has thrown empty dollar after empty dollar at it for not worth a crap results is both hilariously misguided and ignorant, but also it shortchanges so many people who put as much, if not more, into Ole Miss football growing into what it is today than Lane Kiffin. When Lane Kiffin first arrived at Ole Miss, of course, he was the principal reason why Ole Miss was any good to start. To go 5-5 that first year in COVID with an all-SEC schedule was incredible. All right? Especially coming off what Ole Miss was coming off of. But to think that Ole Miss was nothing before him and will be nothing after him just shows an incredible level of homerism that I don't even want to friggin' entertain, to be honest with you. Because if you look at the record, if we're just talking in facts, and you look at the record with Pete Golding and without him, you could argue, just based off the facts, that Lane Kiffin wasn't shit. Didn't really win until Pete Golding got here. I'm not saying that's all Pete Golding, but I am saying that was a great hire made by Lane Kiffin that people ridicule, that said, why are you going to get the guy that Nick Saban doesn't want, even though Nick Saban's been saying very publicly one of my very favorite defensive coordinators ever was Pete Golding. But at the time, people said, well, you're just getting a guy that Alabama didn't really want anyway. Lane Kiffin made a great hire, and he gave like you see now currently on Ole Miss's staff. You've got a head coach of offense, which is Joe Judge. You've got a head coach of defense, which is Brian Brown. All right, a lot of that structure was put in place under Lane when Pete came over, and he became like the head coach of defense. Lane didn't touch the defense, didn't even think about it, didn't even talk to recruits outside of taking pictures at the end of their visits. So if this Blake cat is going to come on in here and try to claim that Lane Kiffin is like some messiah of college football for the programs he touches, save that energy when he goes 9-3 with the roster that should win you a national championship. And I want to see where you're at, because that's just embarrassing, bro. That's just embarrassing. It's a joke. So good for you for keeping it classy. Good for you for being you. Don't apologize for being yourself. Let the idiots like me be the idiots, because I just don't agree with anything that portrayal is trying to frame here. Like the idea that like Ole Miss should be thankful that Lane Kiffin pissed on them on his way out is insane. And to say that they held him back is even dumber, because Ole Miss was front leading in the NIL space. LSU hadn't been jack shit since 2019, outside of disappointing. Just be serious. At least give LSU does have more money than Ole Miss, indisputable. Ole Miss has been spending its money in a more efficient and effective manner than LSU for years. So if you're going to come in here with your like Joe Burrow picture in the background, trying to talk your noise with just generic LSU talking points as if to go rah, rah, go team, I ain't got time for it. He's welcome to come on anytime, but this is just insane. I mean, that's just insane to me. That's completely shortchanging Keith Carter, Walker Jones. I mean, don't get me started on people who've been raising money on the ground. That's stupid. Like you're dismissing the unification, the commonality, and how Ole Miss has been operating for years by saying, "Oh, well, they weren't shit without Lane." That's insane. It's just you can't get over your own favoritism and homerism. Stop.
Yeah, my main critique, and Blake made some good points, and someone in the chat pull up here just for a second, and I agree in some ways that maybe I don't know that I came up blank, but I know I'm not going to talk over somebody, and that's probably not the greatest spot for me to be in, but that's just it. The main 2 points that I really push back on is that he basically said he was only giving Lane credit for the wins, and he was kind of putting all the losses on Pete, and I didn't think that was very fair. Lane.
Duh.
Yeah, I mean,
hey, you want to talk about Kentucky when he's calling up Sarah in the tunnel, or Sally in the tunnel, not Sarah, Sally in the tunnel, because he's gotten his heart broke, and you lose to a real estate salesman here in Oxford, Mississippi. And when I mean the real estate stuff, Brock Vandegrift retired from football from being bad at it, and he beat you. Are you kidding me? You want to talk about Florida? How about the Florida loss with the playoffs on the line, and he's claiming that's Pete Golding's loss? Pete Golding in the historical 2024 defense? No, Florida happened because you started a fifth-string wide receiver who ended up at Southern Miss at running back. No one said you had a good running back. I was in the man's office. I said, no. He goes, "Why were you so mad?" This is Lane. He called me in after I asked about Ulysses Bentley. "Why were you so mad?" I mean, you don't know me like that, bro. I wasn't mad. I'm just saying, like, this one of the most salient points you made as Ole Miss head coach was football ain't that complicated. So Ole Miss fans look at your room and say, you got a bunch of bad options. Play the best of the bad options, which is Ulysses Bentley. And then he just got defensive. He says, well, if you were out there at practice and you heard what the NFL coaches or scouts said about Ulysses Bentley, you'd understand why. But really, it comes down to at least what we think until he wants to be honest with himself, a personal grudge that he had against Ulysses. And Ulysses, we were trying to get him on here. We've been trying to get him on here for a while. We'll continue to. We've been efforting that for a while. You know what I mean? But, like, it was a personal grudge that he didn't start. And no one's saying Ulysses Bentley was, like, next level, but he also won you the Egg Bowl in a very underwhelming Egg Bowl. Florida, you didn't play him. You played a fifth-string wide receiver who transferred to USM, and you lost because of your offensive ineptitude. That is not on Pete Golding. Ole Miss should have had back-to-back playoff appearances. When Pete Golding talked about, we were pissed we didn't make it last year, he's really being kind that y'all are pissed because Lane shit the bed. And because he's never had to face accountability in his life. He still can't admit, yeah, I was at fault. I screwed up. He won't take a single bit of credit for them falling short. If anything, he wants to put the blame on everybody else all the time. That's who he is. So if you want to defend that, or you want to, suckle at the teat of that while you're propagandizing, then by all means. But I ain't going to entertain it, and you're not going to change who you are. You keep being you. But that's just factually inaccurate. You sound like more than a cheerleader. You sound, I'm not going to say that because I'm going through Lent. I wasn't supposed to cuss. I was doing better, but that's just absurd to me.
What about holding Lane back? Ole Miss holding Lane back. What do you make of that?
I think that's one of the stupidest things I've ever heard come out of somebody's mouth about this entire situation. Ole Miss bent over backwards. If anything, it was too thirsty. If anything, they were too accommodating. They should have taken a stand a long time ago, be it with private jet travel. Or how about when they first got here? When he first got here and he wasn't on the job for 6 to 9 months in the middle of COVID, and Jeff Levy was doing the day-to-day because he was in Oxford, and that man was out in Florida on a boat. Stop playing. There's two things can be true. Lane Kiffin is awesome. He's going to win games. He's a beautiful mind, especially in-game schematics. In-game adjustments. Find me somebody that's better than Lane Kiffin. I will argue all day for that man. He sees things we don't see. Also, he's petty. His judgment and decision-making gets clouded based off of things that should only be about football, to the detriment of his team, and he never takes any accountability for his own actions. The man tried to lie to y'all, and y'all still repeat this. He lied to LSU. Yeah, Ole Miss fans tried to run me off the road when I was going to the airport. Forgive me if the most unreliable narrator, beautiful mind for football, but also in the face of college football in the year of our Lord 2026, but the most unreliable narrator as well. He lies just as much as he breathes. And I honestly think he believes half the stuff that comes out of his mouth. I truly believe he believes he was, quote, about to get run off the road. No one cares that much, buddy. This is not like that here. All anybody here wanted you to say was, this is what I'm doing. Be honest and upfront about it. Not go, well, I got to pray on it. Dude, you in October decided you were leaving. Stop playing. And for all the sycophants out there, sycophants like my man Blake, apparently, who claims such an absurd thing against nice Brad, who's not going to push back and say, are you out of your mind? Do you hear yourself? You're gargling on him. What are you talking about? So what do I think about that? I think it's ridiculous. And here's the hard truth. Every Ole Miss fan would have wanted Lane back. Every Ole Miss person, every Ole Miss administrator wanted Lane back. Every one of them did. Bent over backwards, gave him the world. And it wasn't enough. All right? Forgive them then if being treated unfairly and unequitably sat the wrong way and still does to this day. You could say, Lane's awesome, true, and then go, how he left Ole Miss was shitty and not be a crappy anti-homer or something. Don't be a clown. Just be honest. If you really want to talk about this stuff in a fair way, if you really want to talk about it in a debate way, not like this, not like this. This ain't debate. This was, you're nice, and he's, look at him. He was here. He was
good dude, man.
He was here to run all over you. I'm not saying he's not a good dude. Yeah. I don't know Blake. I'm saying for these purposes, he was brought on to run all over the Ole Miss guy. And he spouted nonsense that has no basis, in fact, outside of their own purple and gold brains. They can't help themselves. That's absurd. I think you did fine. I think debate culture is stupid. I do think that if somebody needs to go yell into the void that is social media, though, let it be me, because I don't care. Because you were classy, you were good. But if I need to cut a WWE promo on this Blake dude for saying some nonsense stuff, I can do it. You know what I mean? I don't know him like that. I just know him as the guy that's come at me on Twitter, and now is going after my guy Brad on.
He didn't come after me.
That sounded like it to me.
He just said a couple of things I didn't agree with. I mean, it was respectful. I just didn't say. I just didn't agree that Ole Miss has held Lane Kiffin back. And I just didn't agree with the fact that Pete Golding has not proven his chops as a head coach, and that Pete Golding is at fault for the loss to Georgia in Athens, and that Pete Golding is at fault for giving up so many punts. I mean, they won the game in the Sugar Bowl. So those are the two main components that I really did not agree with.
And you didn't agree with them because they're factually absurd.
Yeah, just not for me.
Yeah.
But
I don't doubt that Blake is a good.
That's what happened yesterday.
I would love to get to know Blake. I think he and I probably have a similar sensibility.
Really good guy. I mean, he and I
no doubt. I just know him as an LSU troll. I know him as an LSU sycophant. That's what I know him as. And they'll say, "Well, you're the Ole Miss sycophant." Yeah, okay, I'll tell you the truth. What I think it to be, and if I'm wrong, I'll say I stand corrected. I'm waiting for one LSU person to say, "Oh, you know what? It was crappy the way he left. It's awesome that we got him, but the way he left was really bad."
I think
he was a strong debater. You have to be able to bend the truth to fit your argument.
I mean,
maybe you reach out to Blake and you see if he wants to come on. He's welcome to come on. I mean, because that wasn't a fair. That wasn't a fair.
Well, it's just not my strong suit. I'm much more. And I don't joke about this. I'm much more Ron Radio, straight up, stick man. I've always been that way. You are not that way. You are very much much better at that. And
what are you trying to say, man?
In many ways,
what am I, Brad?
Huh?
What am I, Brad? Am I just the?
No, it's much more take your hat off and get after it. And I'm much more down the middle. I mean, I've always been that way. I can't help it. But I think that's what makes our show so good. And I don't think that the show with Crane and Co., judging by their numbers, a lot of people's watching it. But I don't know if I was a perfect representation. And that's okay.
I mean, I'm your own 3 Ole Miss rep. I didn't get my phone call, so I'm glad you went on there and did it. It just tells me, But that was you got invited in for an ambush of a troll.
Well, I got invited because Jake Crane and I go way back. It had nothing to do with On 3 and nothing to do with any of that. It was just he and I go way back, and that's how it went. It created a news cycle. It made it to our board. Obviously, a lot of people saw it, and I understand people's thoughts, and I'm more William Regal and Ben's more Stone Cold.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm more modern day Triple H than I am anything,
and I'm more Paul Heyman. I don't really care to do the fighting. Really I'm just going to talk my truth as I believe it to be.
Ladies and gentlemen,
my name.
Mm-hmm.
I was the only person in Memphis on Monday when Paul Heyman came out and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, my name." I was the one. I was doing it right there with him. Paul Heyman.
Yeah,
that's my dude. Like, I want to book the shows. I don't care to do the wrestling. Like, it ain't like that. I ain't trying to fight nobody. It ain't like that. But let's just be honest. No one tried to run Lane off the road. No one called him a hoe. No one no one held him back. If anything, they bent over backwards. I'm just now joining Ben. What's going on? Well,
been one of them shows, OVO.
Brad went on a podcast with a dude from LSU who just yelled over him the whole time. And Ole Miss fans wanted Brad to fight back.
He didn't yell over me the whole time. I mean, it was much more respectful than I think some people are giving it credit for. He just said things that I disagreed with, and I wasn't as demonstrative in my retort than he was. That's what this is about.
They needed someone to go, "Oh, Blake, you're an idiot, blah, blah, blah." That's what I would have been best for. Ben, what would your finisher be if you had to step in the ring? Don't think I haven't thought of this before. I am very partial to finishers that come from the turnbuckle, from the corner. I'm not a flyer, but I would like to think that if I were a wrestler, I would be a flyer. And, buddy, if I could do some type of like RVD, frog splashing kind of deal, maybe
Beluga
like
kick, Sami Zayn.
I love the beluga kick.
Before it's one of the exploder.
Yes. All right. I want to touch on this. Stephen A. Smith is coming to Oxford tonight.
Yeah, it's flying in today, flying out directly after the game, according to Jake Thompson on the website, Ole Miss Spirit in the field of on 3.
Yes. All right. So what do we think about Stephen A? Look, man, I don't like debate culture. I don't love the whole like making yourself the story. I don't, and some might be surprised by that. I just love this stuff. Then you're more sleeper hold than off the turnbuckle. 100%. I'm like Gunther. I just want to grab you and fall backwards, and then let's all go to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's great that he's coming, Ben.
Yeah. I don't love debate culture, but like I think it's really for him to come after he said, "Yeah, I'll come down there." What he said was out of pocket. It was. The brothers.
And once again, I want to say this without causing any controversy, but I've been very open and very transparent with my audience, and my audience is now the Talk of Champions audience. So if you've never heard this before, I will tell you here. I'm very, very strongly an advocate for diversity at Ole Miss and understanding the past, but understanding the ways of adapting. And I do believe that Coach Yo being upfront about the past, but being an incredible advocate for university by moving forward, having another person of color like a Stephen A. coming into Ole Miss, who I think was misinformed about Oxford and about its community. And Coach Yo, God bless her, goes on Twitter, then goes on his show. And I think when he comes to Oxford, he's going to find out what a lot of people that are misinformed about Oxford and Ole Miss. Hey, not only is this place not like it has been described to people of color in the past, it's right the opposite. It's a very welcoming place. It is a very loving place, and it's a beautiful place. And I think that's exactly what Stephen A. is going to find out. In fact, I know it will be. He'll be welcomed with open arms. And he, like many others, is going to understand that Oxford and Ole Miss is nothing like people say that it is. And I'm excited that Stephen A. can go back to wherever he does his show, and he can tell his audience everything that people believe, specifically folks of color. Ole Miss and Oxford are not like that. And Coach Yo is a great representation. And you look at people of color that have come before Coach Yo, all beginning with James Meredith, coming forward, Ben Williams, and I could go on. And I'm honored to say that Ole Miss has come full circle. And Ole Miss and Oxford is a wonderful place for all of God's people. And I'm excited that Stephen A. Smith can come tonight and see that for himself.
Well said. I want to get to the game. Stephen A. Like, here's the funny thing about the whole Stephen A. coming in, man. It's like Ben and Brad, well, man, we go on here, we try to advocate, do our best. We try to be fair and equitable and also give Ole Miss fans and Ole Miss in general a platform that otherwise would not have. They roll out the red carpet for a dude who dogged you on national television.
I mean, just beat you over the head with a big old bat.
Hey, welcome,
come on in.
Yeah.
Wait, you want to interview who? No, I'm sorry. He doesn't have time for you.
Yeah. Come on now. But hey, I'm glad the man's following through. Coach Yo, you hit on it. Coach Yo is such an incredible ambassador for Ole Miss athletics, and exactly what this university at this point in time needed as far as a vocal champion publicly for the university and for its athletics teams and for this culture in general. This is a different place than it used to be.
Yep.
And the fact that we're still having to fight the same old fights and roll out the same red carpets, it's unfortunate, but this place is different. And I'm glad he's coming to see it for himself and being true, being a man who means what he says what he means, as God demands us to be. Right? Good on him for showing up. I wish he'd have spent the whole day rather than flying in before the game, flying out immediately after. We're doing the whole, I'm elitist thing. But hey, that he's coming in is a big deal. Now can they win the game? This is a big game. This is unprecedented. They had to play Tuesday against Tennessee, and they whooped Tennessee. Their third win in 30 years over Tennessee, and they beat them down. All right? Then they got to do a quick turn. Don't even practice because it's in a day, and they get number 7 LSU tonight. Can they win this game? How important is this game? what is Stephen A. and the rest of Ole Miss fans, because this isn't just about Stephen A. Smith. Coach O appealed to Ole Miss fans saying, hey, we need y'all. Mm-hmm. We need y'all to come. We feel like we've earned y'all's support. And she's right. She's right. She's right. And that Pete Golding and the football team are coming. They're bringing the Magnolia Trophy to show it off. You're right, my friend, at Ovo Bell 2 times. September 19th ain't too far away. Ole Miss-LSU. That day is coming. Man, Ole Miss can't lose. But tonight, women's basketball, outside of the spectacle that is Stephen A. Smith and Pete Golding and the football team, hopefully a ton of people show up and support. But can they win this game? How important is this game?
It's going to be very difficult. But if you've got Cody McMahon, by the way, 39 the other night, had a chance to get to 40 on the free throw line. Talk of Champions was there live. We'll be there tonight. In fact, Ben, I haven't talked to you about this, but I'm thinking about going live before the game and get on all of our platforms. It's an 8 o'clock game, so I'm thinking about maybe going live at 7:30 from the pavilion so we can get kind of a view of the crowd. Look, everybody watching this and has followed me for all these years knows how much I love the Olympic sports. I always have. I've always had a special place for that, all the way back to my days at Delta State when I was a media relations contact for women's basketball. All the men's basketball was getting all this publicity, and then the women were not. And so to me, that just gave me that extra, motivation to do my best. And so I really appreciate what Coach O has done. There was not a very good crowd the other night. To be fair, though, it was 6 o'clock. It was a makeup game. I just felt like it needed to be a little bit larger. I agreed with her. I expected more fans to be there. I expect a huge crowd tonight, in large part, and I hate to say this, but, because the football team's coming. I mean, that's got a lot to do with it. Stephen A's coming. And then being an 8 o'clock game, that gives folks a chance to get home from work, get things set up, and then come to the game. It's a little late. I think 7 o'clock would be better, but the 8 o'clock tip-off will give people plenty of chance to get there. And the game means a lot. Ole Miss has a chance to host an NCAA playoff game. No, I'm sorry. An NCAA tournament game on campus. So that's never been done before. But they really need to win. I mean, I talked to Jake post-game about this, our Jake Thompson. And, he and I were both in agreement. I mean, these next couple of games are huge. With Carolina on the road, and then you got a couple more games after that. So they win tonight, they're in an incredible position, no matter what happens at South Carolina. So big game tonight, 8 o'clock. Stephen A's there. We may be live for you. If not, we'll have plenty of content. Jake will be there. I'll be there. We'll be in touch with Ben, and we'll bring you everything that we can. It's a lot of fun right now for women's basketball.
Man, we could do whatever you want to live. I'm down for it. We did 9 hours for a court hearing.
Yeah. I'm thinking about maybe going live before tip, just kind of showing the crowd and letting everybody know how everything's then.
Do a little watch along to start,
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a bad idea. Not a bad idea at all.
We'll be in touch on that.
Because like losing to Kentucky, that set them back. Beating Tennessee.
Well, losing to Alabama too now.
Yeah.
Both of them.
But like beating Tennessee puts you back on the track toward potentially hosting. But
you really need Kentucky and Alabama. This is not as much of a crucial game as it is. But it's a big one tonight.
Cody McMahon's awesome, dude. 39.
Yeah.
Ohio State transfer. An Ohio State transfer that came to Ole Miss, left Ohio State to come here. And y'all want to say Ole Miss is not any different than what it used to be? Come on now. You feel the same way? Ovo Bell. Ben, I can see that fire in your face. You feel the same way I do. The way Lane left, I won't ever come to agreement with it. What makes it worse is delusional LSU fans. Sometimes the truth hurts.
Welcome to talk season.
Welcome to, Ben on the Jumbotron leading the Are You Ready for the LSU game would be fire. Actually, I think what would be true fire is if it were Project Pat and or Ludacris. That would be true fire. Now, I am happy to serve in any way that I am asked. But if we want true fire.
What I would love to do is what would be awesome is to have about a 20-second lead in from our podcast, say, welcome in to the Talk of Champions. We have a special guest tonight. Welcome in Project Pat and Ludacris for the official Hottie Toddy. And then they lead into how awesome would that be?
Yeah, I just want to shake Project Pat's hand. That man is one of my favorite artists of all time. And if I could shake that man, like I can quote you Project Pat lyrics for days. All right.
I cannot.
Like the imagery. Yeah, it's true, Mary. That'd be like a dream come true. The imagery that Pat's talk with, like, keep the Glock hot like a bust on a pimple. Who comes up with that? That's just brilliant. So yes, I would love for Project Pata to be able to do because regardless of what other people say, I was not wrong when I said it was Project Pata that said you can't turn a hoe into a housewife. He said it to lead in of don't save her. Bentley doing the Are You Ready would be fire for that game. Save that for Florida. Save that one for Florida. My high school years too, Mary. Thank y'all for joining us today on Talk of Champions. I'm Ben Garrett at Spirit Ben on Twitter. He's Brad Logan at Brad Logan COTE. Give yourself grace, Brad. I thought you handled yourself well, just like you always do with class, man. You keep doing you. Let the cartoon characters be cartoon characters. You keep being a normal functioning human being. Our thanks to Riverland Roofing. Call them today, 662-644-4297, riverlandroofing.com. B&A Bank, Tannehill Carmen PLLC, Drew Moak of USA Benefits Group, College Corner for your Ole Miss merch, Built Different Fitness for a new you in 2026. I'm doing Lent. I've given up all the junk and the sweets. Someone said, Ben, you need some sugar in you, bro, from the way you feel today. I'm not going to lie to you, probably. It's only been a day, but man, it's already I'm already feeling the effects of not getting some pecan pie. Our thanks to C Spire, Allen Samuels Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram of Oxford, Jones Merchant Services, Advanced Payments Inc., all of y'all who sponsor us, and all of y'all in the chat every single day, from Mary to East Feliciana Reb, Tony Hall, Ole Miss Fan 198824, Blair Stewart. Man, I could go on and on and on. We love y'all. We thank y'all. And I will be back tomorrow with Sudu for Game Runs Deep at 10 o'clock. Our thanks to Trey Fryfogle. Brad will be live, he says, potentially, for Ole Miss women's basketball, the Stephen A. Smith Show. But more than that, Coach Joe and her group are begging, pleading for your support. Not just Stephen A. and the football team. They want you. So show up, support them. They're right there on the cusp of hosting. Thank you, Brad. I'll see you soon.
Thanks, everybody.